Welcome to Behind the Model, a show diving into the virtual world and exploring its stories with the VTubers who lead the way. VTubers need their community. They are the audience they stream to, the fans who uplift them, and in some cases, the glue who keeps everyone together, including the streamer. HYUNI is a stellar example of this. A VTuber herself, she has spent years creating fan content and bringing various communities together to celebrate the great talents we watch every day. But it all kind of happened by coincidence though. That's why we're here to chat about it today. HYUNI, welcome to Behind the Model.
Thank you for inviting me.
No, thank you for coming on. It's funny, we have a mutual friend and a mutual connection with Hannah, my podcast host. And when I was chatting to her about, who should I get on? You were the first name on her list.
Oh my goodness.
And I look, getting to know you and having a chat before we get here has made me confirm that. So I guess to dive straight into the story, let's wind all the way back to why you got into VTubers and when you got into VTubers, because I think that's particularly important.
Yeah, so I think I actually checked yesterday. I think when I first got into VTubers, it was the very beginning of 2021. I saw a clip of Kanai and Kuzaha from NijiJP. They were playing, I think it was like Cooking Simulator, and I found that clip really interesting. So I started falling down that, the classic VTuber rabbit hole, and that was before Niji-en debuted. So back then I was kind of just on the outskirts. Like there were quite a few Japanese indie VTubers that I watched that were really indie. And I used to be super involved in those communities, and that's kind of how I started to learn Japanese back then. And honestly, that was when I started drawing kind of anime character-esque fan art, and my art wasn't that good back then. But then, I think back then, since I was before Niji-en debuted, I was really looking forward to it, and I would kind of think about, what if I started my path towards VTubing? And so back then, I had really bad social anxiety, and I used to stream to the followers and the friends that I met through those Japanese indie tubers. And so I used to do really small streams. This was before I kind of started posting under the name Hyunicat. So I did small stuff like recording covers and doing just small unlisted streams to practice, and I did a lot of those back then. So that was interesting. That was an interesting experience, yeah. But then as soon as Niji-en, sorry.
No, you go. You keep going.
Okay. When Niji-en debuted, I think that's when I started to first get roped in, into the actual communities, because that's when I first started drawing fan art. And then it's been a long process, but that was when I first, I guess, when I watched Alira's debut, that was when I first kind of dedicated a lot of my time to art and kind of the concept of VTubing and practicing singing and streaming and stuff like that.
I guess you, in 2021, it was after HoloLive Myth debuted, for example, but you came in through the Japanese community and I guess the Japanese streamer community through Kanai and Kuzaha. Why was that? And I guess why them versus the usual route that I hear on this show, which is I saw a clip of Kali or something.
Oh yeah, so honestly, I genuinely don't know because back then, I don't know how it happened, because I think most of my friends back then, if they were into VTubers, they were into HoloLive. But I think I used to really just watch Niji Sanji clips, and I'm not sure how I didn't manage to really come across a lot of Holo stuff for whatever reason. I don't know if my YouTube timeline was cursed or something, because every time I hear about someone getting into HoloLive, it's always the Fubuki rap or Gura doing something, and I'm just man, sometimes, I don't understand how I got in through Niji only.
Yep. But that's sometimes the YouTube algorithm works in its mysterious ways.
Yeah.
what was the transition then like for you to be like, oh, I'm just watching the clips to actually know I want to make content around these creators that I really enjoy and like get involved in the community and fandom?
I guess, like, to be honest, I'm not much of a stream watcher. Like, I think a lot of VTuber fans nowadays also feel the same about this, but I guess back then what really got me into the community was just the fans interacting with each other. And like of course the VTubers interactions, but when I found out about I think the fan discords, that's when I started getting really integrated into the community, and I met a lot of different people and friends in there. And I think what inspired me to kind of start working on myself instead of just, you know, being sort of a background person helping out with projects and stuff was one of the fan servers that I joined. They used to have a lot of like karaoke events. And back then that was before Luxium debuted. So most people there were a male audience. So this is gonna paint VTuber fans kind of in a bad light, so I hope it doesn't come off that way, but back then, basically, if you were a girl and you like sang in the karaoke, people would kind of like go crazy a little. So I think even if it's kind of like a weird start to like that inspired me into, you know, achieving my own dreams and stuff, that kind of made me think like, oh, like I don't have to only be like someone working in the background. Like I can work on my own stuff. I can like build my own audience and stuff like that.
How do you reconcile those two things between like wanting to be a creator yourself and drawing or doing karaoke or playing games on stream as yourself versus I'm also contributing to fan art and culture in that way?
I think it's kind of a difficult topic to discuss. Like even right now, I don't really know how to feel about it because I know that most of my audience and friends I've met because I was integrated into the other VTubers communities. And even while I'm like building my own brand, I think most of the people that at least joined near the beginning of like when I started to build myself, they're also mutual friends, like sorry, not friends, fans of other VTubers. And I think that I guess that like recently I've been trying to start to kind of branch off more obviously, I guess, because even though I've been working on all the fan projects and stuff, like, and then even though I do my own streams and stuff, I'm still, at the end of the day, like, I myself am still like a huge fan of the VTubers, and I still want to support them. So I guess using those skills that I've learned from just being a fan, I've been able to put it into my own, kind of building my own, you know, my own brand and my own personality and skill sets.
Was there any concern of I'm a fan artist, therefore I have to act in a certain way, or I do fan content, so I have to act in a certain way?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, throughout my time as a fan artist, or like just I guess just like a, someone that gets involved with like Discord servers as like a moderator and admin and stuff like that, there were a lot of times where it kind of felt like, on my main account at least, whenever I looked at my artist mutuals and like the amount of following they had and how they would all kind of just stay silent about stuff they wanted to talk about and only post art, I think I felt pressured into doing the same. And I've seen artists like speak up about drama within the VTuber community only to get told stuff like, oh, like you're a fan artist, go back to drawing fan art, like shut up, we don't care about what you have to say, just, you know, I follow you for the art, not for your opinions, like stuff like that. And then I think at some point I was just like, you know what, like I'm tired of staying silent because this is still my account, and I get that people follow me for like my fan creations and they see me as like kind of a person that doesn't really touch drama unless you already know me. Everyone kind of thinks that I'm someone that like I guess, avoids drama or tries to. But at
Mm.
some point, I created an alt account so I could start actually talking about like my opinions on stuff. And I honestly thought that would backfire because people tend to not really appreciate like, preaching and stuff like that. But I've noticed that my personal audience has grown a lot from me like talking about myself and like sharing with people who follow me, like just stuff about life instead of kind of drawing fan art all the time. And I still get like, I don't know if it's imposter syndrome, but sometimes I'm just like, because on my alt account, I also post stuff that I don't want the VTubers to see, like not safe for work stuff, but
I
like
did. I
art
did
and
see
fan
your
art.
recent sketch.
Yeah,
Your
so
sketch post.
yeah, so sometimes I get like a boost of followers from those types of fan art, but I still feel bad because I'm like these people, they probably just follow me because they want to see my art. But like, damn, I talk so much. But so I've like tweeted my concerns out like that a few times, but every time I do, usually like the overwhelming response is like, no, like we're not here just for the fan art. Like we want to know about you. Like we want to talk to you and we want to learn about you, like not just your fan art.
Mm.
So that's something interesting that I've discovered, at least during my time of being a fan artist and kind of my own content creator.
Mm. Do you think that's kind of changed over time as like the fan demographic has changed? And I think this is especially specific to the Nijisanji fandom that you exist in, because that did have a massive demographic change when after Luxium debuted.
Yeah, so I think my personal demographic at least is still relatively the same as before, just because of the way I like the kind of content that I produce. But as someone who was really active in the fan servers, like before Luxium debuted, everything was like, I wouldn't say peaceful, but everything was kind of controlled, I guess. And like I mentioned earlier, back then the audience was primarily male, but after Luxium debuted, I think a bunch of fans from other fandoms, like primarily, I think it was like K-pop, ensemble stars, and I think recently Project Sekai. I'm not entirely sure, but
Yep.
a lot of female fans from those fandoms kind of like caught on, and they're like, whoa, like these guys are really cool too. So that's how they kind of blew up on TikTok, I'm pretty sure. And then that's where all the TikTok people came into the servers, and that's how I noticed like the demographic change. And I've also noticed that people have gotten younger.
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
That is also another symptom of TikTok, I guess.
Yep.
How has that been for you then, as someone who was there in the early days of like the Niji fan servers and have run fan servers, seeing that change, and how have you come to terms with it, and do you like it?
It was definitely something new because at least back in the old servers, because I used to moderate one of the Lazulite servers. Back then we had troublemakers, but it wasn't like too bad because everyone was at least like mature enough to not really go crazy. But after Luxium debuted and they kind of got super popular, because I was the owner of Mista, I witnessed a lot of like extreme chaos, and I witnessed like a lot of the impact a younger demographic had on like just kind of server activities in general. And at first I was kind of like, oh my god, like I'm gonna delete the server, like jokingly, like, you know, just joking to everyone about how like, oh my god, like these kids are so crazy. And then people would always be like, oh yeah, like everyone's scared of Mysticord, like even 4chaners are scared of Mysticord. That's how bad they are, and that's how like chaotic they are. Back then I was like, ah yeah, like so true, you know?
That's a
But I
badge of
think
honor. That's a badge of honor.
Yeah,
4chan is scared of
exactly.
Mysticord.
Exactly. Like they say like it's a bad thing, but like yeah, bro, like even 4chan is scared. That's gotta mean something.
Yeah.
But I think at some point, because I was a as I mentioned, I think yesterday at least, I was a project organizer for the first Mysticord project, and I used to participate in a lot of the girls' projects as well, and I think like being inspired by the girls' projects that I've contributed to. When I was organizing my own project for Mista's birthday, I was just like shocked by the amount of kind of manpower we had as Mista. It was just truly like, oh my god, like we did all of this in a month. There were like I counted earlier. I think there were like 40 vocalists for that project.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa, like we did this in a month. That's crazy compared to the other projects before.
Yep.
I think that really set kind of the standard, and then I was like whoa, like Mista is huge. Like these Luxium guys are like huge now.
What's it like taking part in those projects and then seeing them appreciated by the VTuber you make them for?
It's definitely really great, but I think usually, well, personally, like after I've led projects, and I think like just watching them come together along the way is already rewarding, especially the outcome. But honestly, I feel like at the end of it, every time I finish organizing a project, I'm just tired. I'm like, okay, I'm so done now. And seeing the VTubers reaction is obviously like really nice, and I really wish that like the projects that we as organizers put together, I hope they bring to VTubers the same amount of happiness that they bring to us. I think for me, that's like the main goal of why I organize projects.
And I think it's particularly poignant to talk about this. By the time this episode goes out, it would have happened. But we're talking about this before Mr. Rios's graduation from Niji-sanji.
Yeah.
And you were the person behind the mistakes design. How did that kind of come into being?
Okay, so when Luxium, I think it was like the debut teaser that came out, and I was like, oh my god, like this guy is really cute. So I drew quite a few fan art, pieces of fan art for him before his debut. And I know someone that drew the Pentomo design, like Petra Gurin's fan mascot design. So at the time I was like, wait, what if I like just design one out of fun for Mista? So that day I think I just got really bored, and I drew what I basically turned his hat into like some kind of fox animal. And I thought that was that. Like, it was just kind of up in the air, like fan art. But then when we were working on the Mista birthday project, I basically realized last second, I was like, wait, we don't have a thumbnail for this. So I kind of started to, okay, sorry. I'm like, my brain is like looping right now, but basically I asked everyone if they could like draw kind of the mascot that I designed in their own, with features from their own like characters or their own personas and stuff like that. And I kind of put all those together, and we created a mistake collage for the thumbnail. And I think another one of the times that this was first used was Ichigo, the Clipper. She made, I don't remember what it was. I think it was like a Hope in the Dark cover or something with Mista, and she used the emotes that I drew of the mistake design in it. And Mista caught on to that, and he was like, wait, I've seen this mistake design going around, so you know what? Let's make it official. And I was like, huh? Like, I know I had the power over like a bunch of people to draw themselves as like his fan mascot, but I wasn't really thinking he would like actually make it official. Since in hindsight, like I feel like it could have looked better, and I know that there are some people that don't really like how it looks, but I don't know.
That's such an artist critique. Yeah. It's like, oh, it could have been better.
Yeah. Okay, listen. As an artist, I have to say that. Okay.
But you know, it caught on, and you know,
yeah.
And now it's kind of just like it's everywhere. Like it was literally everywhere for like 18 months.
Oh my god, it's crazy. So I think last year, I went to one of the conventions in Hong Kong, and Luxium is like really big over there. So I literally saw like I think every 5 minutes I would like bump into one Mista cosplayer, and I was like, oh my Jesus.
Yep.
And then when I went to their artist alley, I bought Mista merch, but when I was leaving, I actually saw like a keychain of a mistake. And that was the first time I ever saw like merch of the mistake. And I was like, I was really emotional. I was like, wait, like I designed that.
Yeah.
And then it was just really, really like, I think heartwarming. And then it turned out it was actually sold out too, but they gave me the one on display.
Oh.
So that was really nice. They don't know I designed it though. They just gave it to me.
They're like, you didn't like go up to like, oh my god, that's what I did. It's just
No,
like
I didn't.
you're just like, oh
I
my
mean,
god, I love
dragged
this.
my friends there. Yeah, I was like, oh my god, like I love this keychain. And they're like, oh no, I'm sorry, we're sold out, but like we could give you this display one, I guess.
It's like it is a literal they don't know I'm a VTuber like IRL kind of moment.
They-
Like when you hear
literally,
of like
oh my
the VTubers
God.
like roaming through cons, and it's like that's the
Yeah.
kind of incognito moment that I like
Oh my gosh,
go through
yeah.
in my head.
Yeah, back then, because I had some friends with me that like knew I was the owner of Mistacord or like Mista's YouTube mod. Every time we passed by one of those cosplayers, we'd like jokingly be like, heh, they don't know I'm his YouTube moderator. It's really great.
Did being involved in VTubers and the fandom and starting out as a creator yourself inspire you to make more art or do more creative pursuits?
Yeah, so I think being this integrated, you really see how like how much people appreciate your art. And even with entire like artists are always, very self-critical. Artists like they often hold on to negative critiques longer than positive reinforcement. But honestly, just seeing how happy like art makes everyone, and seeing all of my friends and my artist mutuals, like seeing them grow over the years really inspires me to do the same as well. So VTubers, like the VTuber circle has definitely helped me improve my own arts.
Has it made you more satisfied with what you're creating?
Yeah. I think I feel like when I create VTuber art, like it's not only just the satisfaction of like, oh, like this VTuber noticed it. It's also like, oh, all these fans like they like my art. Like they think they like my art style, and honestly, I'm like it makes me proud of my own art, because I think my main goal, at least, within the VTuber circle and just like throughout my artist career, I guess, is just making other people happy. So seeing other people happy like with my creations also brings me a lot of happiness and satisfaction as well.
And what about getting to explore the other sides of your creativity, like your karaoke streams and all those kinds of things?
Oh, so my karaoke streams, I think the first time, actually, like, people have asked me how I sing or how I started like singing and practicing, and I don't have like an honest answer for that, because I really only started practicing after I watched Illyra's debut, and she inspired me to like sing more. But for my karaoke streams, I think, I don't know, like it's just a lot of fun, and it's a lot of satisfaction sometimes being able to sing, and like after all of the practice, and especially listening back to my covers from like 2 years ago, or my recordings from 2 years ago, it's like, wow, like my voice has changed a lot in a good way too. And I really hated my voice back then. I still kind of don't really like my voice, but honestly, just having fun in karaoke kind of changes things. And I think it was like 2 months ago, I did a karaoke stream for the first time in like a year or two because of my living situation. But I think that was the first stream I ever like hit 100 concurrent viewers with, and that was like a really big moment for me because I thought back to back when I was watching those Japanese indie tubers, and back when I would do like my own unlisted karaoke streams, I think those would have like 2 or 3 concurrent viewers, and I was really satisfied with that already. And I compared the set lists of like my 100 viewer stream to my like old unlisted streams, and they were very very similar. So it's just like, wow, like time has really passed, and like a lot, like so much has happened. Like this is pretty insane because I don't think the me from those unlisted streams would have like expected any of this to happen.
How much inspiration do you get from the VTubers that you watch, you create content around, to then channel that into your own content?
A lot. Okay, especially in singing. So another one of my oshis is Miri Celesta, and she's currently an indie VTuber, and I think just her kindness and the way she like treats all of her fans and her viewers like really inspires me. And her song covers are really really good. She's genuinely like, I think my favorite cover singer, VTuber singer. Yeah, but I really really love her voice, and her kindness is just like insane to me.
And so like that then rubs off and, you know, pushes you forward to try and chase the things that you want to do, right?
Yeah.
I guess like all in all, do you like being more on the streamer side of content creation, like being the center of focus, or do you like being on more of the fan side where the work that you do is in admiration of someone else or for someone else?
I think it can be both. I don't think it has to be either one. Because there's times like I enjoy both of them. Like sometimes when I'm on the fan side of things, it gets like tiring because there's a lot of drama going on there, and then you could be kind of targeted for supporting whoever you're supporting. But when I'm on my own, I also kind of have to deal with like a lot of issues. But I think they can honestly exist together, like my enjoyment, because even right now, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of my audience are still fans of other VTubers. So just being able to geek out with them about the people we love and support is honestly like, that's it. I don't have to only be, you know, like creating content on the behalf of myself to kind of experience that happiness, because I get satisfaction from like reflecting on the audience I built myself, but I also feel great like talking to my audience and other VTubers audiences about how great other people are.
And I guess like it would scratch different itches of like the creativity, I suppose.
Yeah.
I guess like oh, you go.
Yeah, like I don't think there's anything wrong with being both yourself, like being your own character, but also being like a huge nerd and fan of like other VTubers, which I've actually seen like a lot of VTubers seem to keep that on a down low. So
I guess like for one last topic to kind of wrap it all up is like with, I guess, the VTuber fandom and your background, like previous owner of Mr. Cord, or still, I actually don't know if it's still current owner of Mr. Cord, actually. I don't know why I said it like that.
Yeah, I used to be the owner of Mr. Cord, but then at some point I was kind of like, I was just burnt out from projects, because when you're part of like the admin team, or when you're the owner yourself, people will be like, oh, like these server owners are so lazy, they never host projects, they don't like do big enough projects, stuff like that. So I got burnt out, and then I stepped down, but I recently came back because of the news.
Yeah.
So I'm currently an admin still.
Yeah. What is it like when a VTuber that you have admired or made content for, or like even is like your Kamioshi, graduates?
So me personally, I've only experienced that once, and that was Mista's. But I think for a while before that, I kind of convinced myself that like um I wasn't that big of a fan of him as I used to be because of I think just burnout and just interacting with Mr. Court has kind of tired me out. But um I think before then, I was talking to Hannah about this, but I was like, you know what? Like, I kind of feel like Mista's burnt out too. Like, if you were to decide to leave anytime soon, like I wouldn't really be surprised.
Mm.
That's how I felt about it. But I think when the news dropped, everything just crumbled, and I was like, wait, like this is real. Like he's really like leaving, and when thinking about the projects that I've organized and the fan art that I've drawn for him, it's less of like, oh no, all of my work is going to waste. And it's more like I'm glad I was able to do all of this for him while he was still here. And sometimes I would still think about like, oh, maybe if I had drawn more, maybe if I had like done projects more, he wouldn't have come to this decision soon enough. But I think it was important to remind myself that like, and to all other VTuber fans, instead of speculating like, oh, this is probably why he graduated, like, oh, this company sucks, like blah 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 blah. I think it's important to remember that even though like there's a lot going on, especially recently in the Niji community or like the Niji management or whatever, people still have like their own decisions. Like even if there's coincidentally like huge drama going on with management, it doesn't have to directly link to that their graduation. They could have been thinking about it for years. Like they have their own opinions, you know?
Mm.
And I feel like it's a bit sorry, I'm like going off track of it, but I think it's a bit insensitive that people who don't really watch Mista when I woke up to the news and I checked my DMs, like a lot of those messages weren't like, oh no, like I'm so sorry, I'm here for you, or like, oh, if you need someone to talk to, like I'm here. And I'm not saying that they have to like comfort me or whatever, but a lot of those messages were kind of like, oh yeah, like he probably did this because the management blah blah blah, he probably did this because of the blah blah blah. And I'm just like, dude, like this isn't something I don't think any fan would want to actually think about this right now. I think most fans, like, they're still grieving, they're still coping, and they're still trying to accept that he's like leaving, even if it's like even if it's technically good news that he's like gonna pursue his own dreams outside of Niji Sanji. I think most fans would rather see him off and just respect his decision instead of like being told like, oh yeah, he's graduating because management sucks, like he's graduating because abuse, blah blah blah. So I think that's something important when talking to people who have gone through graduations or like gone through their Oshi's graduations. But yeah, in terms of projects, like I'm just happy that I was able to contribute to them and like organize them with the time that we had left with him as the character of Mista.
I guess like to wrap it all up is, how has your interactions with VTuber fandom and Nijisanji fandom changed over time as the fandom has grown, as VTubers come and go, as community members come and go? And do you still have the same passion and drive, or perhaps love for the community that you once had?
Yeah, I think even though the kind of demographics have changed, and even though some of the people I've known back then aren't really into VTubers anymore, or they've left because of drama and stuff like that, I still really treasure all of these interactions, and I still really love the community that was built from this. Like, I know a lot of people, they've been getting burnt out in general from VTubers, and honestly, same too, but I think just me seeing like other people still be very happy and like just love and support the VTubers as much as they can, regardless of like when they got into VTubers, I think that honestly plays a big part in keeping me like keeping me within the VTuber circle actually, because even now, like seeing, because I think even just a difference between this January at Anime Impulse when there was a hop concert of the Last Light and Etheria girls, like being in person and during that like concert and seeing everyone with like their pen lights and like cheering, I think experiencing that in real life is just insane. And then compared to this Anime Expo this year, like that crowd was massive. There were so many people that were lining up from like 8 a.m. or like before 8 a.m. just to get in there. And like seeing all those people so passionate for like the girls I watched since their debut, just really like it gives me chills. Like it's not just the guys that have grown, it's the girls too. And like even though the guys like for sure have had a lot of impact on the audience and were very, very big, it's not like they're not forever kind of tiered above everyone. Like everyone still grows regardless of like where they are. And even like not even related to Nijisanji, even the Hollow Live community, because I went to their Connect the World EN concert recently, like during AX.
Yep.
And I was there I was one of the organizers or the designers for their penlight project, where I think during their group song everyone like changed their penlights to different colors. I think just watching that play out in itself was really like emotional for me, because even though I'm not that deeply integrated into the Hololive community yet, just seeing people like this dedicated, and then literally like before the concert there were people like teaching each other how to do wotage and like how to do chants and stuff.
Yep.
Like seeing that in person, I was like, holy moly, like VTuber fans are freaking, like regardless of the drama, they're awesome. Like this kind of power, like experiencing it in person really, really makes a difference. And I think that's just knowing that like all the fans are still here, like everyone is still supporting the people they love, that has kept me in the circle for ages, and I don't think I'm gonna get out of it anytime soon.
You're not too keen to claw your way out of the rabbit hole just yet?
Yeah.
Well, HYUNI, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing a different perspective on VTuber fandom as someone who has been so integrated in it and so long and run so many passionate projects around it, and a creator yourself. So thank you for coming on to Behind the Model and sharing your story.
Thank you so much for talking about this stuff with me.
HYUNI is the latest guest on my series Behind the Model, diving into the stars who make VTubing the creative medium we love. If you're interested in more of HYUNI's story, you can read the accompanying article linked in the description. You can also find all of her social media channels below. If you liked this video, I'd really appreciate it if you left a like down there, as well as a comment with any feedback. It all goes to make this series better. Until next time, thank you.